Hello Hustler Nation! On today's episode, I am joined by the founders of East Meets Dress, or EMD, Vivian Chan and Jennifer Qiao. So East Meets Dress is a very interesting company. They are dedicated to bringing more transparency, quality and customization to Cheongsam dress shopping. And a bit of a backstory about the company. While planning her wedding, Jen struggled to find Cheongsam outfits and tea ceremony supplies that were designed with the modern Chinese American woman in mind. And the choices to her seemed to be dealing with sketchy sellers on Alibaba or impatient grannies in Chinatown, which is funny. And she found it hard to celebrate her Asian roots without compromising quality and style. And that's when she decided to start EMD with her best friend and maid of honor, Vivian. So Hustler Nation, this is going to be an interesting one because we get to listen to their story about how they tested their idea, how they launched the business, and what has changed since then. It's only a 1-year-old company, but they're doing really well because they found a niche that is growing and they actually actively solve a problem. So stay tuned to the end of this episode to find out more. Hey Vivian, hey Jen, welcome to the show. Let's start by introducing yourselves a little bit and also your company East Meets Dress. So let's start with you, Vivian.
Great. So I'm Vivian, one of the co-founders of East Meets Dress, and we're a brand that creates modern wedding Cheongsam dresses for Asian American brides across the world.
And hi, I'm Jen. I'm also one of the co-founders of East Meets Dress. Vivian and I were actually college best friends, and she was my maid of honor at my wedding, and that was kind of the inspiration behind how we started East Meets Dress.
Okay, what about your experiences? What were you guys doing before starting East Meets Dress?
Yeah, so we met when we were both in college at Yale, and after graduating, I did a Fulbright fellowship and worked at a couple of nonprofits before my most recent role was working at an early stage startup. So I was like employee number 10 there, and we eventually got acquired by Facebook, and then decided to pursue, EMD with Jen full time.
And after I graduated from Yale, I went to work at Google in marketing. And so after being in the Silicon Valley world, I worked at some startups and kind of knew that I wanted to do something on our own. We've always kind of known we wanted to do something together. And so after my wedding, where I struggled to find a modern Cheongsam, we realized this was an idea we're both passionate about, and we decided to go for it.
Okay, did you guys get any funding, or are you all, completely bootstrapped?
We've been entirely bootstrapped from day one, and we actually launched EMD with less than $100. We put up like a $30 Shopify site, free landing page, and ran a $50 Facebook ad. And that's how we initially got off the ground, got our initial set of interested customers, and eventually our very first customer from that.
From that first campaign, $50?
Yeah,
Wow.
So that campaign generated, we got about 40 or so emails of interested brides just from that. And we contacted, everyone on that list, offered to hop on a call with them and do design consultations and really understand their experiences finding a wedding Cheongsam and see what their struggles were. And then from there, we eventually got our very first customer and made her dress.
Yeah, and I think this landing site and this response from our ad kind of made us realize that this was not just a problem isolated to my own experience. I mean, when I was planning for my wedding, I looked at sites, like online sites, and they were all very sketchy. No one responded back to me about a modern dress for my wedding. And I wanted to really celebrate my culture. And so I also made the trek all the way to Chinatown, but those are more traditional, and they didn't really fit in well with both my Chinese heritage, but also my American heritage. And so I ended up having to go to a local tailor to create my dress. And we realized this shouldn't be this hard for a modern wedding dress. And so we put out this ad just to see if, is this something else that other people are experiencing? And we had a landing page that had no dresses. It was just a blank landing page that said, are you also looking for things for your modern Chinese wedding, for your tea ceremony? And the responses we got, the emails that we quickly got kind of proved like this is something that other people are struggling with as well. And that gave us the confidence to go on ahead.
Right, MVP, right? Is it just that $100? Did you guys inject any additional capital, for inventory and stuff? Because I see you've got quite a few designs already on the site.
Yeah, so when we first launched, we had our very first design. So we have one design on our site, and we set out to offer custom sizing for all of our dresses. So what's also great about that is not that, just that the dress is made to fit you, but also that they're made to order. And so we didn't have to keep a large inventory of dresses. So we didn't go out initially to buy like 100 dresses of a particular style. We also were in the beginning stages, so testing different designs out. So that gave us like the benefit of not having to throw down a lot of investment into that. And then since then we have expanded our collection. But when we first started, it really was one design that we were testing out.
Yeah, we worked with different customers to create their custom dress. And I think the beauty of that is that we not only got to hear feedback about what type of dresses that they actually wanted, but also then be able to make dresses that we knew that other future customers would want as well. And so that kind of helped give us guidance on what we would want to invest in future collections. So in the beginning, we kind of just try to outsource these ideas to the customers who were looking for, their own unique style.
Right. So did you both always wanted to be entrepreneurs?
No, not at all. I think growing up, I didn't even know kind of the term entrepreneurship. I thought I was going to be a doctor growing up, a very traditional, typical Asian path. I wanted to make my parents proud. It was either doctor, lawyer, architect. Became neither of those, and I ended up going to nonprofit and then working at an early stage startup. So my career trajectory was never straightforward. I think even till this day, my mom's like, oh, do you have a real job? Like, what are you doing with your career? So no, not at all. I did not. If you were to ask me this when I was young, I would not have said, become an entrepreneur.
I don't think this word is very common in like the Asian vocabulary.
Study hard.
Yeah, that was very important. Get into a good college, go off to be in Behat. That was definitely something that my parents were very scared of. And I think both Vivian and I were, growing up in this kind of culture that's like very risk averse. And that was something we definitely had to work on when we started East Meets Dress, is kind of overcoming that and being willing to take more risks and put in our money and time into something that, isn't clearly stable, but I think it really pays off. And that's definitely one of the things we're always working on. But I think it's, as we are willing to invest more in our business, it's more likely to grow.
Right.
Yeah.
So Jen, I checked out your LinkedIn. You mentioned that you joined General Assembly, a coding bootcamp, isn't it? Do you code much anymore?
Yeah, so that was actually very helpful. Before we decided to do East Meets Dress, I felt like because both of us have more business-oriented backgrounds, I wanted to supplement that with some technical work, especially given that we are a bootstrap business. We kind of we wear all sorts of hats. And so one of them is also a sort of engineer, you could say. And so I went to this boot camp, learned how to make a website, learned all about, I think more importantly, how it works and how it's supposed to work. And that's been very helpful. We are obviously on Shopify. That has been hugely helpful in terms of the back end, because they handle all the orders, the customer accounts, the fulfillment issues there. But being able to kind of just dive into our website and when we do need to change something or add a new page that isn't part of the template, I'm not afraid to go in. And that's probably because of the bootcamp. And that's been very helpful.
Yeah, Jen is our designated CTO.
So is it just the both of you now in the company?
So it started with just the two of us, and now we have two other part-time people helping.
Yeah,
right,
so we have someone helping on the customer side, and then one person helping on our supplier side.
Right.
Right. Are they free? So they're freelancers, remote or?
Yep, they are remote. So we're both based in the Bay Area, California, and then they're remote and elsewhere.
Yeah, so we use Slack to kind of Slack and both Coda, two platforms to kind of work together, even though we're all in different places, and that's been very helpful in keeping everything in one page. Especially since we have every customer has sometimes like customized details that's constantly changing. And initially, before when we just didn't use anything, we had a Google spreadsheet and a Google Doc that quickly got out of hand. And so now we use Coda, which has been super helpful in making sure that everything, all the right information is just in one place.
Coda. Okay. So let's go back a little bit about, the idea validation stage. You mentioned you built out a landing page. Did you build it from ground up, or do you guys use a service?
We used a service.
I believe it was Wix. It was
I'm not.
Yeah, it was one of the easy website builder templates,
Yeah.
like Wix. We were able to build it in a weekend.
Yeah.
So we wanted something that we could quickly test and run with. And so it was just something that allowed us to quickly give people a chance to fill in their emails. And then that was the really main functionality of the site.
I think it was called Unbounce for the free landing pages. So they let you build as many free landing pages, and then we just use that.
Yeah, and you get to test like 2 different versions, and you get to send like 100 visitors to each or something, right? Like with Unbounce.
Yeah, I think you can do. Yeah, I think you can do that. I don't think we utilized that when we launched, but I believe that is definitely a feature.
Right. One question. I just want to go back a little bit and ask, did you guys quit your jobs before when you were testing the idea, or did you guys just decide that, okay, I'm done with my full-time job and I want to do this, and then you go out and test?
So we both had slightly different stories. I was still working full-time at my early stage startup, so this was definitely more of a side hustle, side project for me. And then for Jen,
after the boot camp, I decided to, instead of applying for an engineering job or going back into marketing, I decided to give myself kind of a certain specific time frame to try some ideas out. And I told myself, like, after this deadline, if nothing works out, then I will go back to the corporate world. And luckily, we did come up with the idea that worked out.
Good on you. So East Meets Dress is like 1 year old now, right? What has changed since it first started? How you get your customers, and I don't know, some of your roles, have they changed a little bit?
Yeah, so when we first started, we really leveraged ads to drive traffic to our site. Just because we were not well known, no one knew our name, we really had to get the word out there through ads. But once they landed on our site, we provided a very high touch service. So all of our leads and customers can reach us at any time through a variety of methods. So we allowed chatting with us immediately on our site. They could email us, text us, call us. So we basically made ourselves available 24/7 and kind of acted like their personal wedding dress planner. And at that point, when we were starting off, it was less about creating like a sustainable growth strategy and really more about giving them an amazing customer experience. So anyone who landed on our site, we wanted to provide that great customer experience so we could build that trust and rapport with our initial set of customers. And this in turn, like now we're seeing a lot more organic growth. So all of our customers now who love the experience of getting their dress are telling their sisters, their cousins, and their friends who are getting married. So we're starting to see a lot more organic traffic. And now we're pivoting a bit more to focus on SEO as a bigger growth strategy. But in the beginning, it was more just driving traffic through ads to our site.
So how does your traffic mix and revenue mix look like right now, like across the channels?
So definitely one of our channels, like we host our site on Shopify, or people are searching us organically and finding us through Google search. We also leverage Etsy, which has been a pretty big channel for us aside from like Google search. Etsy has its own, ranking within Google. It's very visible. A lot of users like go on Etsy to find custom items. So we've been able to carve out a really good niche market there. So that's like our second biggest channel. And we do get some traffic as well, just through social media channels like Instagram. Pinterest has been another one for us.
Right. So
I would
are
say
you?
that-
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I
Jen.
would say that it's been like a third of each. So we're hoping to grow our organic to be most biggest chunk, but it's been a third organic, a third our on Google, and then a third on from Etsy.
Let's dive deep a little bit. How are you guys developing the SEO strategy?
Yeah.
So one of our most popular traffic sources is an article that I wrote that was 30 ideas for a modern Asian wedding. I think that it ranks number one on Google when you search like 30 or modern Asian wedding ideas. And I think it shows kind of like the point of SEO, which is creating content that someone is actually looking for and is desperately needing. And this article was inspired by my own wedding where I was planning it and I really didn't have places to get inspired by for a modern East meets West wedding. And so when I was writing this article, I was thinking about what type of things would get other brides excited by. And after creating this list, it's been super helpful. We have brides who came to us and actually told us like, all the content that you're writing has been super helpful. I've been saving all these articles for my own wedding planning. And that kind of shows that the SEO has been like resonating with our customers.
Yeah, and we also took that blog and made like 30 unique pins and put them all on Pinterest. So every idea is tied to a pin, which also drove like organic traffic. And from there, we created additional content like how to host a tea ceremony, what to look for in a Cheongsam dress, or how to make your Cheongsam dress more modern. So we're really targeting like the intent of their search on Google, like their planning stages before they even think about purchasing a dress with us. What are they thinking? What are the questions that they have? And that type of content has been really good for our SEO.
Has these kind of contents, like these pieces of content, convert any customers?
Yeah, it definitely has led to conversion. But when you're in your planning stage, as you know, the wedding planning cycle is very long. So you're probably planning your wedding a year. Sometimes we have brides planning their wedding 2 years in advance. So they're just starting and just finding our content, and they're kind of just reading about the process, about the dress and the idea so far. So it's not like immediate conversion, but we do see conversion like down the line. And as they get closer to their wedding date, they'll make that decision.
Right. So that piece of content sort of helps you establish relevance and authority in that space, right? In that specific niche, whereby they'll consider you guys in the future, something like that, is it?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, and we try to get them to subscribe when they're reading the blog. We have a free tea ceremony guide checkbook and checklist that you can download if you subscribe, and that kind of gets them to through the door, and we can remarket to them through email marketing afterwards.
Yeah. And another strategy that we've utilized is a style quiz. So if you go on our site and you're not sure what design you want and you kind of want some recommendations, you can take our style quiz and we'll offer, personalized dress recommendations from our collection. And so that's another way where we can get their email addresses, but also provide them with valuable content as they're thinking about their decision and wedding planning.
Okay. So what was the toughest part in running the company over the past year? Let's start with you this time, Jen.
Definitely, I think the first, so, we talked about how we got a lot of influx of potential interest and all the emails. And I think we definitely had set higher expectations of like, oh, we're going to instantly be selling like hundreds of dresses within the first like month, even though we only had one dress design up on our site. And so I think there was definitely a sense of, we found the need, but we didn't quite know what we were selling yet at that point and what the customers wanted. And so there was a few months of us learning exactly how to get the right product market fit. And I think in those months when you are talking to customers but they're not converting, you kind of immediately question like what's going on. Maybe we were wrong about everything, and then it just spirals down, right? So that's been the best part, has been having a co-founder in that period, because you can kind of keep each other both accountable but also motivated to make sure that even though the external metrics on a day-to-day basis might not look like what you want, you're still making the right steps every day to get to your goal. And by focusing on kind of like the internal work that we were creating, we were writing articles and we were designing new dresses. That eventually created a pivot point where we did start seeing finally the momentum that we had expected and hoped for.
Yeah.
What about you, Vivian?
For me, I think, having to change my perception about like being less risk averse. So growing up in Asian American, immigrant families, we're always taught to save more money than we spend money, take the safe path. And when you're bootstrapping your company, you're already investing your own money into it. And so in the beginning, it was also painful to think about spending more money on ads. And when we first started, we weren't ads experts at all. So we would, in a day lose $100, and I'd be like, oh, ouch, that's a lot of money lost, and we didn't get any return on that. Should we shut off all our ads? Let's just not spend money anymore and just stop spending money, because there was that, risk aversion in me. But you can't grow your business without investing in it and spending that initial capital. And so really changing that mindset and be like, well, that $100 wasn't just lost. We learned lessons from it. We learned what not to do anymore on ads, how to optimize it more. And we, decided how to better spend our money. But, in the beginning, we were also very much hustling. So we would be our own photographer, our own models. We'll go to the local park and take pictures and save money. But at a certain point, when your company also grows, you realize you have to invest in your branding and in your photography. You can't just rely on an iPhone X and the local park anymore. So being willing to, spend, even if it is $1,000 on a nice photo shoot, is worth it. So that's kind of like how I've changed over the course, building this company and becoming less risk averse in that sense.
Right. So what does your day-to-day look like now?
It's really depends on the day. We do a bit of everything. So we wear all the hats. We're our own like marketers. We do our own finances, our own analytics. We are our own, mailman some days. So some days we'll spend the day packaging our dresses and bringing them to the post office. Other days we'll spend building out email campaigns and marketing campaigns. Recently we were spending time thinking about a new collection and a new photo shoot to do. So it really kind of varies, but one thing we try to keep consistent is accomplishing one big rock a day. So we have like a to-do list of things that would really move the needle, not just answering emails. That's something you'll do every day, but really like what are the big projects and tasks that we can do that will move the needle, and we make sure to do at least one of them each day, just to keep us like focused and feeling grounded and productive.
As Vivian mentioned, we wear all sorts of hats, and I think one of the benefits of running your own hustle is that you get to, it never gets boring. Something's always different. Every few months, your role changes and there are new projects and new challenges. But there's definitely an unglamorous side too, which I think people maybe don't often think about when they're like, oh, I want to start my own business. That also means sometimes you also are learning what sales tax means for all 50 states. There's days where we learned about how to start an LLC when we are chasing down the mailman to make sure that the dress gets delivered before our bride's wedding day. But those are, I think, the tasks that you also need to get good at and be willing to do if you want to do something on your own.
Right. So, a little bit of a personal question. How's it like juggling friendship and business? Because you guys are best friends, right? Do you guys ever fight?
Yep.
So I have like a very calm personality. So Jen would consider me to be like very chill. So even in stressful situations, I like can maintain composure. So I'm the type, I guess, we don't yell at each other or fight in that way. There's no fist fighting or throwing things. We might have like difference in opinion in how we pursue a certain strategy, but often we'll just talk it out, and she'll give her rationale, I'll give my rationale, and at the end of the day we just go with the decision that we think would be best for our customers and best for the business, and put aside personal feelings. And I see Jen like a family member. At the end of the day, it's like, she's like a sister, right? And so you guys can fight and bicker, but at the end of the day, you're still family. And that's how I see our friendship and our relationship.
Yeah, I would say it's definitely been an amazing ride to be able to do this with your best friend. And I think not all best friends might be able to work together well, but I think I knew that we would be able to kind of build this business together because we've kind of traveled all over the world together in college. We actually couch surfed in Greece together, where we kind of just stayed in random strangers' homes on their couches and had to learn how to like drive stick shift car, dealt with all sorts of like travel issues. And despite all those issues, we managed to get beautiful memories from them and not actually like end up, breaking our relationship. And so I think from that, I knew that in stressful times, we've already managed to survive. And so this was going to be another one.
And we do implement kind of a thing where each week there's one person who's like on call, and the other person will take time off that weekend to kind of just de-stress and pursue other things and turn off their phones and Slack messages and whatnot. So that gives us time and a break from one another, because we do work together 5 days a week all the time. So it is nice that we kind of switch off like who gets the break that weekend and stuff. So
that's really good for you guys, because and in general, friendships and business don't really mix well, but it sounds like the both of you have something really, really good going on. So 2 more questions. What were some of the things that you wish you knew before you started this business?
So I think one thing is, we are both the type of people to like hustle. So we like to do things quickly and get things launched quickly. And if we were to start over again, we probably would have moved a little bit slower and just think a little bit more before we launched. Perhaps have more than just one dress design on our site before we launched. And you only get the chance to launch once. So we would have probably taken that opportunity to think through other parts of the business that we didn't get to. But in the beginning, we were just very eager to get started. And so we kind of just went with it. But that's one thing that, looking back, we probably would have slowed down a little bit on.
Right. What about you, Jen?
I think one of the things when we started this, our idea was targeted at Asian American brides who are looking for a modern Chinese dress. And that's obviously a very targeted niche. It's not only Asian American, but it's also people who are looking to get married. And we were worried that this was going to be a pretty small market. Like, how are we going to create a sustainable business that could sustain both of us and a team with such a small market? Was this going to be big enough? And I think looking in the past year, looking back, I would say that was probably not that big of a worry for us. And that's kind of been a learning for me, as well as just realizing that A, there's a lot of people out there, but B, you don't know exactly like the types of customers you'll have until you try to sell to the market. And one of the things we discovered was there's actually a lot of high schoolers right now who are interested in wearing something of their cultural heritage to prom. And that's really exciting, because 10 years ago when I was in high school, that was not something I would have been very excited for. And so we're really excited to see all these high schoolers who are kind of embracing their heritage and being really proud of who they are. And they're all kind of around the springtime, they're all reaching out to us for a modern dress. And that's something we would not have been able to, no matter how much research we would have done preparing for this business, that's not something we would have discovered until we actually try to start this business. And, I think as we continue to grow, we're going to discover all sorts of other needs that our customers will be able to tell us. And that's going to help us grow even more.
Fantastic. Like, that's so interesting that high schoolers now are like looking to wear Cheongsam. I'm Chinese myself. And like it's not happening where I'm at. I'm in Southeast Asia in Singapore,
Mhm.
but everyone just wears like, like t-shirts and jeans
Mhm.
everywhere they go, and so it's really interesting. I'm really happy to hear that. So last question, guys. What's next in the next 5 years? What's the 5-year plan?
So when
Gold
we
nomination.
so our larger mission is to be able to build a brand that really helps elevate Asian American culture and lifestyle. And we started in a very niche market in the wedding industry, focused on a very targeted demographic with a specific product. But there are many other industries and products out there that Asian Americans can benefit from. So that is definitely on the horizon. So thinking of other products that we can build that can help elevate Asian American culture. Obviously, we're already in the Cheongsam business, so there could be potentials to continue to expand our collection. We've already done a little bit of that. We've expanded into a men's collection, accessories line. We're thinking of like perhaps bridesmaids dresses, more casual Cheongsam. So all of those are the horizon. We didn't expect to be where we are a year ago. So 5 years from now, ideally there'd be a lot of new unexpected surprises, but yeah, just take it, as it comes.
Yeah, I would say, Asian Americans, we're one of the fastest growing demographics in the US. We have the highest purchasing power, and my experience is not unique. There are many different products and services out there that are missing from our experience. And so we are kind of just keeping our ear out for our customers, listening to kind of what they need. They have come to us asking about dresses, jackets for, to match for the groom. And they also have asked for other dresses for their ring bearer or their flower girl. And so we're just really excited to kind of continue offering and filling that hole that is currently missing in the Asian American market.
Right. So it sounds like it's still very wedding centric. What other verticals did you guys discover through, you know, uh, while running this business?
Yeah, so one potential is like we've been talking about a more casual Cheongsam line. So our dresses right now are very geared towards bridal, but there are many other Asian Americans out there who would be interested in wearing Cheongsam that's a bit more casual. So it doesn't have to be full on red and gold. It could be a more modern, fun design, summer dresses, different cute patterns. So that's definitely something. We've also launched like wedding favors and custom chopsticks as part of our collection. And there might be like other verticals that come up.
Yeah, I think we're discovering that there is an appreciation for Chinese culture that hasn't been really tapped into yet in the US.
Right. Okay. So I know I said last question, but you mentioned that in the US, Chinese is one of the fastest growing demographics. Can you talk a little bit more about that? A little.
Yeah. So based on like a report, the Nielsen report last year, Asian Americans are one of the fastest growing demographics, and apparently, 28% of Asian American households make over $100,000. So that speaks to like the purchasing power of our demographic. And not only are we growing as a population, but a lot of Asian Americans also have bachelor's degrees. They are active consumers, and they're looking for products that fit their lifestyle, that are modern and that are beautiful and come with great customer experience. So tapping into that market and building a product for Asian Americans is definitely part of like our mission. And we want to be able to do that as Asian Americans ourselves. We feel very strongly towards that.
Awesome. So before we end this episode, is there anything else like that you guys want to add on for our audience?
I would say, to those in your audience who are thinking of starting their own side hustle or their small business and wanting to be an entrepreneur, to just go for it. start small but test quickly. You don't need to have a fully built out website or all the answers to your questions before you start. Don't let that be the barrier to entry. There's always that saying, don't let perfect be the enemy of good. And if we had to launch EMD with 100 designs before we even got started, I think we would have given up from the very beginning, just because that seems very overwhelming. But starting small by thinking, let's just make one design, see if anyone even likes it, that helped us move forward and gave us the confidence. And from there, we just built little by little into what our brand is now.
Great pieces of advice. So thanks for coming on to the show, Jen and Vivian. Do you guys have a pitch of EMD for our audience?
Yeah, so if you're looking for a modern Cheongsam or Qiao to wear for your wedding tea ceremony, or you have a friend or someone who is, come check out East Meets Dress. We are here to combine culture, craftsmanship, and an amazing customer experience to help you bring your dream dress to life.
Okay, so that's eastmeetsdress.com, EASTMEETSDRESS.com. Okay, so check them out if you're getting married, and if you're looking for really beautiful Qiaos and Cheongsams. So you guys ship all over the States?
Yeah, we offer free shipping within the US, and we also ship to anywhere in the world. And we've worked with quite a few international brides from some from Singapore, actually, Australia, UK, France, Canada.
Wow, impressive. So, guys, thanks for coming on to the show once again. It was a pleasure speaking to the both of you, and I'll let you know when this episode goes up, and you probably want to share it with your audience.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Thanks so much for having us.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a
Thanks.
pleasure to
Bye,
be here.
guys.
Bye. Have a great day.
Bye.
You too. So, hustlers, that's it for this episode. I hope that you enjoyed it, and guys, do me a favor. I want to know what you think about this episode. So head on to www.hustler.com without the /feedback, and I want to know what you think. Tell me. I'm always looking to take this podcast to the next level. I'm always looking to improve, so I want to hear what you think, and I need your help, okay? And lastly, if you know someone who might benefit from this episode, please share it with that person. Until the next episode. See ya.